Hello, everyone. Are you ready for some more crafting? Did everyone pick up their crafting bag? I hope so. Let's see, this is the second craft of March that we'll post on the 11th. Hopefully you found your kind of cheat sheet. It has some websites on there that will show you pictures of the crafts that we're doing if they're available. If you signed up for Crafting Crew, you also got an email from me. I'm Trisha. I work at the library, and it will have the links included. Let's see, you should have a Ziploc bag, or we actually ran out of Ziploc bags, so some of you have paper envelopes, and you're going to need the one with the gold paper in it, and it has a leprechaun craft in there. There's some papers that talk about rainbows and the colors of rainbows, and there's a rainbow experiment for you to do. You're going to need some glue, some string, a pair of scissors, and a paper punch if you have one, or something sharp to poke a hole in your rainbow. For your rainbow part, you can use a paper plate if you have them. I don't generally keep paper plates, so I just gave everybody a white piece of paper and I traced a circle on it, so it looks like a paper plate. If you're using paint, you're going to want to do this part first so that it can dry. This is what you're going to use to make your pot of gold, and this, of course, is your gold. So let's see, I am not going to use paint. I'm going to use markers today, but we'll start with that first in case you're using paint. So we'll be following the same steps. All right, I'm going to change the camera so that you can actually see my desk and what I'm doing. All right, so here's my paper plate, as it were. I actually think it's easier if you're using markers to do it on a piece of paper. Oh no, where did I put my markers? I took them out. Where did I put them? I think it's easier for little kids to use markers on a piece of paper, so then they can color outside the lines. If you're using a paper plate, or if you're on a desk that you don't want to get dirty and you're not doing it this way, you'll probably want to put something underneath it so that you don't get marker all over your desk. If you watched story time this week, or if you attended the Zoom story time, we talked about the colors of the rainbows and what order they go in. Remember, there's that way to remember it, Roy G. Biv, like it's somebody's name. Roy is his first name, R-O-Y. That stands for red, orange, and yellow. So red, orange, yellow, G. What's the G stand for? Did you guess it? Green. And his last name is Biv. Do you remember what the Biv stands for? Blue. Then indigo. And then violet, which is another word for purple. And indigo goes in the middle, and it's a combination of blue and purple. So if you're painting, it's really easy to mix that together. If you're using markers, it's a little bit harder. All right. So I am going to take my red, and I'm just gonna paint a red stripe there. And the next one, Roy. Remember R-O-Y. So orange. I'm gonna make some orange. There's really no wrong way to do this. Let your kids experiment with the colors. If you are using something that blends the colors together, it's a good opportunity to talk about mixing colors and what happens when one color touches the other. There's my yellow, that's my Roy, R-O-Y. Now its middle initial was G, and that stands for green. See how if you're using markers, it's easier if you do it on a piece of paper because you can go right over the outside of it. B is for blue. I'm just going back and forth. Get some stripes. Now, indigo is a little harder if you have markers. You can try coloring a little bit of blue and putting some purple on top of it. Marker's a little harder. If you're painting, it works great. Crayons even a little bit. So I'm just gonna put some purple on top of it. So I have a mixture of blue and purple. That will be my indigo. And now violet. Remember, violet is another word for purple. We most often use the word purple. All right, so that was the end. So now I'm going to start it again. Do some more red stripes. Red. Orange. Yellow. Remember, that spells Roy. Green. And remember, we're going to do a mixture of blue and purple to sort of make indigo. Doesn't come out the best when you're using markers. And then purple is the last color I'm using. Or violet. And this marker actually says violet on it. Put my markers away. Those again. I didn't use brown or black in the rainbow. Those aren't colors that you usually see in a rainbow. I'm just going to cut this out. My lines. A circle that's colored like a rainbow. There. Now, if you were using paint, you would have to let this dry before you cut it out. So I'm going to put that aside. And this I'm going to use to make my pot of gold. So you can make a pot pretty much any way you want. I'm going to cut my paper down a little bit. I don't need the whole piece of paper. Let's see, I'm going to make a shallow pot. I'm just going to give it a little trim, so it sort of looks like a pot, almost like a hat. I guess if I turned it that way, it would be a hat, right? Trim it. You can decide what your pot you want it to look like. You could draw it out first if you wanted to. My pot's a little big for that, so I guess I could turn it sideways. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my glue stick. I'm going to put it on the back of my pot that I made. And I'm going to glue it onto my gold paper. And I'll show you how I'm going to make some gold in my pot. A little bit more glue on there. It down. Now I'm going to trim this so it has the same edge as my pot. And I'm going to do that on just the bottom of it, because on this part, I'm going to make an arch. So it looks like I have a bunch of gold in my pot. I might need to put a little bit more glue on it once I have it trimmed. You see how I did that? I glued it to the back. And I just cut a half a circle is really what it looks like. There's my pot of gold. And if I wanted to, I could use some of this extra and cut out circles so it looks like gold coins. And I could glue those also to my pot of gold. Like it was extra gold coins that were falling off. There, I have 5 extra gold coins. You have to send me a picture and show me how you decorated your pot of gold. I'm going to move all my scraps over. All right, now if your paper plate is dry, if you used paint, all I'm going to do is cut a spiral. You know what a spiral is? Might be easier if you draw it on the back. So here's my plate. I'll say this is my plate. All right, this is a spiral. It's going to go around in circles, but it's not going to meet here. It's going to go in like that. See how I'm doing that? It's going to go in, and in. That is a spiral. See that? So if you have your paper, if it's easier for you, you or your mom or your dad or a big brother could draw a spiral on your plate, and that will give you a line to cut on. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to pre-cut mine. And I'm just going to go around and around. It doesn't have to be perfect circles. And I'm just going to go around till I really run out of room to cut, because I don't want my spiral to be too small at the end. All right, see, so that's how it looks. And if I pull that up, it looks like that. Now, what are we going to do with this? Did you figure out what this is? Is this the rainbow? So on the very center, I'm going to poke a hole. And I have a paper punch to do that with. But if you don't have a paper punch, you can use a pencil. You can use the tip of your scissors. You might want mom or dad to do that. You could poke it in there and wiggle it. See if I made my hole big enough. All right, move my camera down a little bit. All right, so I am threading my string. You can have yarn. You can have a ribbon. I'm going to poke it through till it comes out the other side. You can tape this part, or I'm just going to tie mine in a knot because my string is thick enough that it will hold it. Pull it through. See, so now my rainbow is hanging on my string. So if I have the string on one side so I can hang it up, what am I going to glue onto this side? You guessed it, pot of gold. So depending on how big your pot of gold is, you might need to use a lot of glue. And this stick glue might not work. You might need the liquid glue. You might need, oh, you know what would work really well? Do I have any in here? No, I don't. Some two-sided tape might work really well. A staple would even work. I actually have these glue dots that I bet would work really well. I'm going to put a glue dot on there. And then I'm going to glue the end of my pot of gold, or I'm going to glue my pot of gold to the end of my rainbow. All right. I'm going to switch cameras so that when I hold it up, you'll be able to see it. Hang on one second. There we go. I'm going to put that camera away. So now when I hold up my rainbow, there's the end of the pot of gold. If you want, what you could do, I didn't, but here's my circle rainbow. You might want to color both sides of it so that when you hang it up, see how I have some white? You might want to color rainbows on both sides. So there's a rainbow on each side, no matter how it twirls. And then I'm going to hang mine up here in my window. That's pretty cool, huh? Simple craft, and it turns out really well, doesn't it? All right. Show me your pot of gold at the end of your rainbow. Send me an email with a picture, or if you have my cell phone, text it to me. If I get enough, I'll put them up on our Facebook channel. Happy crafting, guys. I'll see you next week. And we're going to talk about spring already. We're going to make flowers, I think. All right. Happy crafting.